Hi, so this is the group discussion video for Group A. A couple of us decided that teachers don't necessarily teach or do for the sake of doing on purpose. It's more of a kind of a habit that's forced on them due to various limitations, which I will discuss later on. One of the better examples that we had up was actually talking about a chemistry lab where you were finding the limiting reagent inside a chemical reaction. Inside the lab, there was a procedure, so you knew what to do, but you didn't necessarily understand what was going on or why. Another really good example that we had, which actually will cut into my next point, is when in a pre-AP bio class, when it came time for the yearly standardized testing, the whole class was basically dropped, and in about 3 weeks was fed directly into making sure you were ready for that test, which led to a great score, however, not so good understanding of biology. Looking at some of the pros and cons of either strategy, with problem-based learning, it's usually simpler. It's a lot easier to prepare for, it's a lot less time consuming, it's a lot easier to be on the same page with the majority of the class. The drawbacks to this is it doesn't quite get as much individualistic thinking. It doesn't inspire the students as much, it doesn't challenge the student as much. It doesn't give the students a chance to rise up and really learn and develop a deeper sense of thinking. As for project-based learning, project-based learning is a lot more individualistic. It's a lot more time-consuming on both the student and the teacher's part. Everything is project-based. So you're going to have upwards of 30 individual projects running at the same time, and as a teacher, you need to find a way to not only grade these projects, but um, afford the projects, be able to give one-on-one feedback with all of your students. It takes a lot. Depending on the teacher that is implicating the project-based learning, students are going to have a very easy or very hard time getting into the project. A certain lack of interest could potentially crumble the whole concept behind project-based learning. But a lot of students are going to take this as revolutionary and really enjoy exploring actual applicable concepts rather than just filling out worksheets and just working towards grades. And as long as there is a sufficient amount of scaffolding being applied to the classroom, most students are going to take well to the real-world situations in their applications. Some of the scaffolding that the article talks about that's required is using problem-based learning in order to build the mindset of project-based learning, as I discussed before. Some of the other scaffolding it talks about is comparing examples, where you take two cases and it really gives you a reference between these two cases to kind of see where differences kind of show up. Another one is being able to self-assess. If you can get your students into the mindset of analyzing their own work and realizing their own weaknesses, they will become more successful students as a whole. A couple more scaffolding ideas that we came up with is really reinforcing inquiry-based learning. So, also just kind of pushing for a deeper level of thinking. We also talked about breaking down complex activities into simpler activities so students can kind of establish a step-by-step procedure. The discussion questions that I came up with is 1. Is there a way teachers can push their schools to funding more project-based instruction? 2. Is there a way students can push for more project-based instructions in their own classrooms? And 3. If not, is there a resource students can use to guide their own projects?